see me or hear me?
We can see you and we can hear you. Thank you so
Okay.
much for joining us. And I know you're in your car, but hopefully you're not driving.
Nah, I just pulled over.
All right. Well, let me start off by saying, first of all, as a veteran, we want to thank you for your service. And I know Veterans Day was on Wednesday. And
Yeah.
yes, you're doing the right thing. I think we're pretty much socially distant, right?
Yeah. No, I'm just leaving Capitol Hill and like touching all this stuff and getting in the car in these elevators.
So, what
So
did you just cover?
um today Speaker Pelosi did a presser about the presidency. And then I was also staking out the new members of Congress. Got something I gotta move. I gotta move. Because I was parked in like an illegal zone. Someone trying to find me a parking spot like a little up the block. Oh, here we go. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you, and we want to see if you could turn your camera sideways, turn your phone
Okay.
sideways. Yeah, but don't let the guy give you a ticket. We just finished talking about the police. There you
Right.
go. Fantastic. So, you're a photographer and a phenomenal one. I'm so glad that we were able to utilize some of your services for a period
Thank
of
you.
time. But tell folks who are some of the organizations that you've shot for.
Right now I currently contribute a lot to the New York Times, Washington Post, Getty Images, Reuters News Service, um, occasionally Time Magazine, um, and the list goes on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why we feel honored to be among the group. But how did you get into photography?
Photography kind of got into me. As a kid growing up, my dad had a film camera in the car, and I would play around with the camera and not really know what I was doing. But as you get older, you start meeting girls, and you kind of put the camera down. But it wasn't until I got to Iraq that I just started picking the camera back up. So I was taking selfies in Iraq before selfies were like a thing. So I would always send pictures back home to my mom just to let her know I was okay. But she'll be like, "Well, why does Santa have a gun?" I'm just like, "Well, that's just the pride." And one thing led to another. I would just start taking pictures from my friends so they can send home to their parents. But after my second tour of a duty in Iraq, my mom passed away, and you realize that you can't catch up on all the parties, the birthdays, or whatever it is. So why not just like begin to document these moments?
I think that's powerful. And what was your duty? What did you do as a service person? What part of the service, and what was your job?
In the Army, I was a human resource specialist. So everyone thinks you're sitting behind a desk, but as a male, you're generally assigned to the infantry or any other type of like combined arms or combat related unit because those units are all male. But nowadays they're starting to integrate. So you'll have females in the infantry and the special forces. But back when I was serving, all of those units were male dominated. So you pretty much go like where the needs in the army.
And did you volunteer?
I did, but not to go to Iraq, and I volunteered to serve.
And what motivated you to join the army?
As a kid, that was always a dream of mine. Um, Back when my mom was pregnant with my sister, I wanted to stay with my grandma in Pennsylvania, and she lived around the corner from a National Guard base. And my grandma would tell me every day when those trucks come by, she said, "You will find a way to sneak out the house." And she didn't even know how I can get the door open. And I would just run the street, and the guys were like, "Let me get in the truck." And they was like, "Since that moment, you were hooked."
Wow, amazing. And how long did you serve?
I did 5 years.
Looking back, if you were Michael 5 years before then, do you think, knowing where you are or what you know now, do you think you would have volunteered still?
That's a tough question. I mean, in this climate, I mean, there's a chance, but I mean, that's very tough to answer. And the reason I say that, because when we look at these police and these military forces, coming to our streets, like that right there can change anyone's mind and their perspective of how they view.
Right. So you were fortunately and honored, I think. It was an honor for me to watch you do an interview at the National Press Cup recently, talking about how photography has been sort of a calming force or sort of medicine for the PTSD that you suffered by being in Iraq. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for me, you'll have service members. They'll walk around with service dogs, or some people may use medical marijuana, or they'll have different therapeutics to like help, with anxiety and depression. But for me, it's my camera. So as long as I have a camera in my hand, not saying I don't go through stuff, but it allows me to manage better.
A lot of people have we don't have cameras, but a lot of people have these things, right? And we're going
Yeah.
around, we're taking pictures, and so there's something different, and that's what I think makes you so great, because what I can do with this still does it may be okay, but it doesn't compare to what you do with a camera. So when you look at subjects, when you look at things that you're going to shoot, I mean, what are you looking for?
I mean, I look for honor and dignity. I mean, every photograph I make it with honor and dignity. Whether I'm on Black Lives Matter Plaza, whether I'm in West Baltimore, Ward 7, Ward 8 photographing, or I could be like in the sticks photographing like a white supremacist rally. I shoot everything with honor and dignity, even though I may not necessarily agree. But, as a journalist, you got to have journalistic integrity.
What do you think was one of your toughest assignments?
Oh, man. I would say Baltimore, covering the uprising for Freddie Gray, which I covered for you guys, which y'all gave me the front page. But like for me, growing up like 10 blocks from Freddie Gray, and that hit me hard, because you had these white journalists that would come in, and you would also have some black journalists who may not have come up in those areas. So for them, there was no attachment, you know, like the Western Police Station, that was down the street from my brother's house in the projects. And there was a carryout across the street. I mean, all of that. And then they go to Pennsylvania Avenue, north of Pennsylvania Avenue, to see that the CVS is burned down. Like that hits hard.
Yeah. And how far has your camera taken you?
My camera's taking me just about a little bit of everywhere.
I
Um,
mean,
my last travel assignment that I took, prior to COVID, was down to Selma for the 55th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, and I had the opportunity to photograph John Lewis for the last time. And at that time, I didn't know that would be my last time photographing him. But I'm just fortunate, and then I thank God that I had the opportunity to create that memory.
have you been able to? We thought we were going to have some of your photos for this show, but we may do that at another time. But have you done an exhibit?
I have. I've done exhibitions at Photoville. I did a private show here over in Potomac, and I did a few things for the this past year's BT Awards.
When I pulled up my cell phone, the point I was really going to make was that I can take 1,000 pictures with this, and I don't get a dollar. I don't even get a penny. You make money.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you're I'm not asking you how much or anything like that, but have you found photography to be yeah, lucrative? Has it been able to support you?
I mean, it has its days. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, how women can work and stretch. I mean, as a photojournalist, I mean, you got to learn to stretch. And if you grow up poor and not having everything, I mean, it ain't nothing. I mean, you just can't spend all your money. I mean, some seasons are better than others. Like right now, things are looking a little better, especially for like photographers of color. Because at one time, black and brown photographers, they weren't getting those looks. I mean, I was getting work, but I'm like not consistent. Like at sometimes, I'm overly worked. I mean, a friend of mine, we always make the joke about like, hey, now I know how it feels to be a white photographer. You know,
Amazing. Yeah, yeah, because you're getting so much,
yeah.
but that's good. That's wonderful. And so what are you focusing on now?
Right now, I'm just taking it day by day, just doing a lot of general news stories, breaking news. I would like to get back to like some of my personal veterans work, but with COVID, I don't want to put anyone at risk.
Hmm. Um, we did just celebrate or commemorate Veterans Day. And, what would you say to, you're still a fairly young man, you have young people that, are still serving, coming out. I mean, what do you say to them about life now on the civilian side and what they should or should be doing, should or should not be doing, or what they could be doing, or any words of advice?
Like to the brothers and sisters that's still serving, keep doing what you're doing, pay attention, you know, take advantage of all the educational opportunities that you can. You know, if you have a relaxed job and downtime, yo, go to school full time. Save your money, invest, learn, get certifications. One thing I learned when I was in the military, I had a buddy of mine, he was from Chicago, and he was a nurse. And I worked as an HR specialist, but we were detailed to an Iraqi jail. And one thing he said was, he said, it doesn't matter what you do in the military as an enlisted. You can manage an inventory of $10 million, you can supervise 30 people, but if you're not an officer, it doesn't mean anything. Like for example, he was a medic and he would be, I guess, equivalent to like maybe an LPN. But his superior, who's an officer, is a certified doctor. So, take advantage of all the certifications, take advantage of the education, because once you get out, you know, it's a world out there. And it ain't gonna wait for nobody.
I'm glad you said men and women, because I think I talked about men, but they're right. There are lots of women who are serving in the military, and we certainly want to thank them, all of you all, for your service and for the contributions you're continuing to make in our community. So I want to thank you for taking this time and for keeping us, recording history, because that's the way I see what you do. I mean, if what do we call capture those moments,
Yep.
and to know that those moments are being captured by Michael McCoy is wonderful, and we want to see so much more. So we'll be following you and following your byline wherever it appears.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, you have a great day. I'll let you get out of that car and move on before somebody pulls you over again.
Yeah, it can't be, I ain't trying to get pulled over. But
That's
I just want to thank you for having me, Denise. Like I want to thank you for like believing in me, early in my photojournalistic career. Because like back then, some of these white editors, they don't know who you are. They don't want to know who you are. And it's just like nobody believes.
Well, the proof was in the pudding. When I saw your work, and I think that goes back to the advice that you were given before. Like I said, I can do this all day long. I can even pick up a $10,000 camera, but you got to know. That's why I asked you, what do you look for? Because and I could see it in your work that you had not only the eye and the mind, but you also had the heart for your subjects. And so that's what impressed me the most about working with you. So I'm glad you're doing good stuff, and keep doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
And if anybody wants to follow me, my Instagram handle is Michael A. McCoy Photography. Um, Twitter, I think it's Mike A. McCoy Photo, which I don't really use a lot. And my website is www.michaelamccoyphotography.com. Please do not forget the A, because a lot of people do.
All right. Well, with that, we won't forget the A.
And if
Wonderful.
anybody has any questions out there, if you have a love or passion for photography, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm here to help.
Fantastic. Michael, thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
All right. Have a good one.